up, you guys? Film Fan 0599 here again, and today I'm going to be bringing you another top 10 list, and today's top 10 list is going to be my top 10 best movies of 2019. I know, it's been a while, I haven't given you guys a video, it's been months. I apologize for that, but a lot's happened. I've moved, motivation was kind of lacking, and some other things, but guess what? We're not here for that, we're not here to talk about that. All that matters is I'm back, I'm here to do videos again, and I'm feeling really good, honestly. I'm feeling really confident, especially about this video that I'm about to do, because I really love this list. I think I have a really great best list, honestly. I love all the movies that are on here, and I'm really excited to share with you guys this list, and I'm very happy to be back. And I hope that you're happy that I'm back too. So this should be fun. I cannot wait to do my best list, and yeah, I think we should not waste any more time. And before I get to my best list, I do have a few honorable mentions, and those honorable mentions are Parasite, Joker, It Chapter 2, The Lighthouse, Glass, and Rocket Man. Oh, and Ford v Ferrari as well. Don't want to forget that one. So those are all of my honorable mentions. All great movies. I love those movies a lot. Just couldn't make the best list, but still great movies nonetheless. And of course, also, I want to stress something real quick before we get to the list. As always, this is just my list. If you don't see a movie on here that you love, there's either three things. I didn't see it, I didn't really enjoy it, or I did see it, but it just didn't make the list. That doesn't mean, this is not the objective best movies of 2019. This is just my list, of course, and I would love to hear your list as well. So, like I said, this is not the objective best movies of 2019. This is just my list. And I hope you all enjoy hearing my list. So without further ado, let's stop with all the nonsense and whatever. We got the honorable mentions out of the way. Now let's get into the list. And we're going to start off, of course, with number 10. So coming in at my number 10 is Dolomite Is My Name. Now, Dolomite Is My Name was a movie that kind of snuck on me a little bit, kind of snuck up on me a bit. I was really looking forward to the movie when I heard that Eddie Murphy was making his comeback, because Eddie Murphy is personally one of my favorite actors. I've always loved him and his work a lot, so I was excited to see him finally back in the spotlight with this movie. So I was really hoping this could be something special. And it most indeed was. This movie is really fantastic, honestly. I really enjoyed Dolomite Is My Name. Dolomite Is My Name is a film that's layered with a lot of passion, because this is based on a true story. It's, based on Rudy Ray Moore, who really had a big passion for this character of Dolomite. He had a big passion for this character, and you could tell in that. And Eddie Murphy just lights up the screen with it. Eddie Murphy, his performance in this film might be my favorite performance that I've seen of him. Honestly, he just embraces this guy. He embraces what this guy stood for and the passion that this guy had. And he is absolutely incredible in this. He got snubbed big time for, best actor, honestly. I really wish he got in there, because this performance was truly something special and really was by far the best thing he has ever done, in my opinion, in terms of performances. I really loved him in this. All the other actors are great too. This has such a stellar cast to it. The comedy this movie is hilarious. Man, this movie is so funny. Literally, some of the funniest things I've seen all year, honestly, are in this movie. I generally do think this is quite a hilarious film. And it's just so filled with so much passion and so much love. And I love that so much about this movie. And it really resonated with me in that, honestly. I really dug it a lot. So, honestly, coming right in there at number 10 is Dolomite Is My Name. So coming in at my number 9 is El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. This really comes as no surprise that maybe this is on my list, because as all of you know, Breaking Bad is my favorite show of all time. And when I heard that they were doing a kind of a sequel to it, and kind of just seeing where we would see Jesse Pinkman after the event of the finale, I was really excited. the more I just kept on seeing of this movie, I just got more and more excited because I was really intrigued. Because that was one question that I did have at the end of the finale. You know, it closed everything else, but there was that one thing. It was that one thing. Where did Jesse go? What did happen to Jesse? You know, and we do see that in this movie. And I really loved seeing that a lot. Seeing Jesse kind of going into with the aftermath of that finale, seeing where he goes, and having closure to his story. And we also get some flashbacks from stuff previous, honestly, and we see some surprises, which are really great in my opinion too. Love those a lot. But my favorite thing about this movie, honestly, is Aaron Paul's performance. Aaron Paul really carries this movie in my opinion, and he really just gives it his all in this film. Like, he is one of the most underrated actors working today, and he just gives it his all in this movie. He really does. He's carrying this movie on his back, you know, and he does such a fantastic job with it. He really does an incredible job, and I love his performance in this. One of the most underappreciated performances of last year, in my humble opinion. And this movie's so intense and so thrilling, and Vince Gilligan really does a great job directing this film, honestly. Like it feels like he never left the world of Breaking Bad, honestly. It feels like he was still there, honestly. You could still feel that touch with him, and he does such a fantastic job. This was a great epilogue to an already great series, in my opinion. You know, like I said, it really ties together what happened with Jesse after the events of the finale of Breaking Bad, and they just do such an incredible job. It's such a fantastic movie, in my opinion. I really love this movie a lot. It was probably the best epilogue I could have possibly have asked for, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It definitely deserves to be on this list. So coming in at my number 8 is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Now, this was a movie I was really looking forward to a lot, because last year, or the year previous now, I saw the documentary Won't You Be My Neighbor. And I didn't really know that much about Mr. Rogers. I was aware of who he was, but I didn't really know the impact that he had on the world. And that documentary really showed me the impact that he did have on the world, and just how kind and how wholesome he was to everyone. And it was amazing. I love that documentary a lot. So when I heard that they were going to do a movie where Tom Hanks was going to play Mr. Rogers, I was like, this is perfect. This is like perfection. The most wholesome actor playing the most wholesome person. It's perfection. It really is. And I was so excited to see what they could do. And this movie is so just exactly that, beautiful. I love A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. It's a movie that really just touched my heart. As cheesy as that might sound, it just really did, honestly. It's a movie that really touched my heart. And I love that a lot about this movie. You know, I loved seeing the friendship that Mr. Rogers had with this news reporter, and it was just great, honestly. Like, I loved seeing, not news reporter, just reporter, but I just loved seeing their friendship together, honestly. Like, it just, because, you know, this reporter is trying to, you know, get Mr. Rogers to really open up to himself, and Mr. Rogers is like reversing it onto him, and really expressing something out of this reporter that he really didn't know how to express, and find something in him that he never really figured out. And I love that. It was just so amazing to watch, honestly. Tom Hanks, like, he just embraces Mr. Rogers. He really does. He embraces this man so well. It almost felt like, it really did almost feel like Mr. Rogers was with us for a moment, because that's just how good Tom Hanks was in this movie. It's such a stellar performance. It is absolutely one of his best performances, in my humble opinion. He just does such an amazing job in the film. It's just such a heartwarming movie. You know, you do have dramatic stuff that does happen in the film, but it's just so beautiful. This movie is it's a movie that resonated with me so much that it even made me cry towards the end of the film. I did. I was just so wept up and so in the emotion of the film that I just couldn't help but just let some tears out, because it was just that beautiful, in my opinion. It's a movie that I really think that not a lot of people are giving credit. I think should get a lot more love, honestly, especially from, like, award season this year, honestly. Like, it's just so great honestly. Like, I know people liked it, but I really just wish this movie got a little bit more love than it did, because it's such a heartwarming film. It's a movie that I feel like the world needs right now, honestly, and it's just so beautiful and it's so incredible, and I absolutely loved it. It definitely deserves to be on this list. So coming in at my number 7 is Knives Out. Knives Out was a movie that, as with a lot of these movies that are on this list, I was very excited about. I love Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson is absolutely not just one of my favorite directors working today, but just one of my favorite directors in general. This is a guy that really just goes for it. You know what I mean? He just really goes for it. With the episodes of Breaking Bad that he's made, to Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and now this guy just knows what he's doing. And I love him a lot. And this movie is just fantastic. This movie is so thrilling and so intense and even funny. Honestly, it's just so great. It is everything that a mystery film should be. I just love this film a lot. I am a sucker for mystery films, and this is just a mystery film at its finest. It is so great. You are so invested into the mystery. You really are. You were invested into this mystery, and you're just like, okay, maybe she did it, or maybe he did it, or maybe he did it, or did she do it? Like, it just wraps your head so much. You do kind of have an idea, but then it maybe turns its head, and it's like, or maybe it's that. Like, it's so great. I love that. That's what mystery films should do, and it does it so perfectly in this film. I love it so much. It's so great, and man, does the cast do a great job. This has an all-star cast to it. You got, with the standouts being, Daniel Craig, Chris Evans, and Ana de Armas. Man, they all do a fantastic job, especially Daniel Craig, man. Detective Benoit Blanc, I love you. You're the world's greatest detective. We need him in every movie. We just need that man in every movie. Like, he is just so great in this. I love him in this film. And man, like I said, this movie just takes you and just makes you, so invested, and just like turns you on your head so many times, honestly. And it's so fantastic. And it's hilarious too. There are some moments where, honestly, this might be the funniest movie I've seen last year, but it's really funny, honestly. Like, I really love the comedy. Just, there's some really, really funny moments. That was the worst car chase I've ever seen in my life. Like, that just, so many great moments in this movie. It is so fantastic. It is an excellent mystery film, in my opinion, and Rian Johnson really outdid himself, honestly. He really did a phenomenal job with this film, and I absolutely loved it, and it definitely deserves to be on this list. Coming in at number 6 is Shazam. Actually, that's not right. This is more like it. Shazam! I'm sorry, but Shazam is a movie that I didn't really know what to expect going into it. If I'm being honest, it looked fun from the trailers, it looked exciting, and it looked like something maybe that the DCU really needed. Honestly, like, it really was a film that I think maybe the DCU needed, and I did not expect to get so, like, just so wrapped up in it, to be honest. This is probably my biggest surprise of the whole year. This was a movie I just generally did not expect to get so wrapped up into it, and to be in my top 10 nonetheless. It is such, it's everything that, like, I love about superheroes, honestly. It's heroic, it's heartwarming, and it's just so emotional. It really is. I love this film so much. It really reminded me of those early Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. Just the emotion, just the warmth, just the characters. It's so great, honestly. Like, I absolutely love everything about this. When it comes to the message about family and stuff like that, it's just so great. Zachary Levi embraces Shazam. And I wasn't really that big of a Shazam fan before this, but coming out of this and watching this, I'm now a really big fan because Zachary Levi especially made me fall in love with this character. He is great in this. You know, I really love him as Shazam. Like, he just, like, because he's got to act like a kid. You know what I mean? Like, this is the closest thing I think we could get to what would happen if an actual boy had powers. And we see that, and like, he's got to act like a little kid because, you know, he's a kid that's embracing these powers. And it's great, like, he really does a great job of really embracing that childlike mentality, you know what I mean? It's not childish in a way where it's bad, but it's childish in an endearing way. And that's what I love about this the most. It's pretty much what you would do if you did have superpowers if you were a kid. And I loved seeing that a lot. I think Zachary Levi really brought that to the screen. Mark Strong is great as the villain. Definitely a very underrated villain, in my opinion, honestly. I think he doesn't get enough credit, honestly. I really thought he was intimidating in this, especially when you get down to those fight scenes with him and Shazam. Oh, the third act of this movie. Oh man, I love it so much. The third act of this film is just one of the best third acts I might have ever seen to a superhero film. It is just so great. It's so fun. It's so heartwarming. It's everything I could possibly have wanted out of a superhero film. And I know with DC films this year, everyone's talking about Joker. For me, honestly, it's really Shazam. Shazam is where it's at, in my opinion. Shazam is an absolutely incredible film. It's a movie, like I said, I did not expect to enjoy this much, let alone almost climbing into my top 5, honestly, of my best list. It is an absolutely incredible film. It is by far, in my opinion, the best the DCEU has to offer so far. And I'm going to even go as far as to say it's the best DC film since The Dark Knight. I will even go that far. This film is absolutely incredible, and it is really something special. I loved it a ton, and it definitely deserves to be on this list. Alright, we're already here, man. We're already at the top 5. Holy cow. But coming in at my number 5 is Avengers Endgame. This was the movie event of a lifetime, honestly. Like, this was the movie event. Like, everyone was excited for it. You, me, your mother, your grandmother, like, everyone was excited for this movie. This was the movie event of the year. And that's a lot to live up to, honestly. Like, that's a lot to live up to in terms of being the movie event of the year. And it succeeded gracefully. And it was so epic. Like, this movie, man. Like, I have never had a theater experience quite like this, honestly, where I'm just generally just so blown away by how epic it is. Honestly, it's probably the most epic movie I've ever seen. It's just everything I wanted this to culminate to, honestly, because, you know, I have been around with this since 2008, since the first release of the first Iron Man. Like, it was everything I wanted this to culminate to. And I thought the way that the Russo brothers really tied everything together and really just brought us the epic conclusion to this Infinity Saga was so perfect, honestly. Yeah, I think this movie is honestly perfect. I can see the flaws that people have with it, but for me, they didn't really bother me as much. I think everything else is just so done well, honestly. Like, the characters, I love the directions that they go with them, with whether it be Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, you know, like, just the way they handle these characters is done so gracefully and so perfect, in my opinion. The action sequences, especially that one in the finale, man, that third act is just, I will never forget when I'm just sitting my butt in that theater and just looking up at that screen and seeing that third act, seeing how everything just culminates, man. It was just perfect. This is what movies are for, man. Like, it was just one of those moments where you were like, this is what movies are for, man. This is what movies do for us, honestly. Like, they just spark that magic. And that's exactly what this movie does. And it is so incredible in my opinion. I love everything about this. Like I said, from the characters, the action sequences, to the just downright emotion of this. Man, so many movies had me crying this year, and this was one of them. I just felt so emotional during this, and my God, man, it's so fantastic. It was everything, like I said, it was the finale that we needed to the Infinity Saga. I think the Russo brothers really culminated everything together perfectly, and I couldn't have asked for a better finale, in my opinion. And I am going to really miss a lot of these characters, but you want to know something? They went on the biggest high note they possibly could have, honestly. And I love it so much. It's such an incredible film, and it is definitely one of my favorite comic book movies of all time, and is definitely one of the best films of the year, and it definitely deserves to be on the list. So coming in at my number 4 is Toy Story 4. I see the look on your face. I see the shock on your face. You probably thought this was going to be number 1, didn't you? Well, I can't really blame you, because knowing me, trust me, I probably would have figured this was going to be my number 1 too, but 3 other movies came out that I loved more somehow. But this movie, everyone knows by now, Toy Story is the thing that means the most to me. It's the thing I love the most. I think we all know the spiel by now. If you see my retrospect, you really know the spiel by now, or my review for this movie. But this was my most anticipated of 2019. This was the movie I was looking forward to the most. This was the one that I just was hoping that would be good, because I seem to have been the only person that was really this excited for the movie, because everyone was like, oh, do we really need this film? After the third one. The third one just wraps up everything perfectly, and I most definitely agree with you. And I was thinking that a little bit in my head. I was like, even though I'm really excited for this, do we really need this? Do we really need to continue this story? I thought it just wrapped up perfectly. I was thinking that in my head, but I wasn't complaining, because I was getting to see my favorite characters once again on the big screen, so I just wasn't complaining all that much. And it turns out we really did need this movie, honestly, because it just wraps up Woody's story perfectly, and just really makes his character go out on the highest note, honestly. Like, it really just wraps up his character and his arc, honestly. And, man, Tom Hanks in this movie, man, I love his performance in this. He gives such an absolutely incredible performance in this movie. I love him a lot in this. Like, he just does such a great job, and he really just shows the emotion of this character, because you can tell Tom Hanks really cares about this character a lot, and he just brings out the best of him, honestly, in this. I love what they do with him, honestly. I love his interactions with both Bo Peep in this. There's some of my favorite moments in the entire film. I think the animation is gorgeous. I think this is the best the animation has looked in any of these movies. In my humble opinion, the animation just gets better and better and better with each of these movies, honestly, and it just looks the absolute best in this. I absolutely love how the animation looks in this movie, just the designs to the atmospheres, just everything. This is probably the largest in scale of any Toy Story movie too, honestly. Like the places that they go and the atmospheres and the locations, it's just so great, and it's so beautiful to look at, honestly. And all the other voice acting is great too. Everyone is great in this film. The writing is fantastic. Randy Newman, once again, doing a fantastic job with the musical score and the original songs with this movie. It's just what you could have possibly wanted out of necessarily another Toy Story movie, honestly. Like, I know a lot of people were like, oh, do we really need this? I know a lot of people walking out of this were like, actually, yeah, I do think we needed this, honestly. We really needed to wrap Woody's story up, and it was done in the best possible way, honestly. And talk about me crying in movies. This is the one that did the most to me. I cried not one, not two, not three, but 4 times during this, because I just saw what was not just something that I loved, but something that has been a part of my life forever, ever since I was a child. I've talked about this numerous times, but this thing, Toy Story, has been with me forever, and I now just saw it, like, it was tied in a nice bow, you know what I mean? And it just wrapped everything up perfectly. It was a part of my life that just wrapped up, honestly, and they did a really fantastic job with it, honestly, and I really do think this is a wonderful movie. Honestly, it really is. It's a phenomenal film, in my opinion. It's absolutely one of the best in this entire franchise, and I think just the Toy Story franchise is the greatest franchise of all time. There's just no other franchise that makes me feel all sorts of emotions, honestly, quite like this one does, and I think this one just wraps everything up nicely. So yeah, definitely deserves to be on the list. So coming at my number 3 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, I love Quentin Tarantino a lot. Quentin Tarantino is an absolutely phenomenal director, in my opinion. He has made some amazing films, in my opinion, like Pulp Fiction, both the Kill Bill movies. He has made some really incredible films, in my opinion. So I was obviously really excited to see what he would do with this new one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, having it take place in 60s Hollywood, and stuff like that. I was really intrigued to see where this could go, and I was really looking forward to it. And man, this movie, man, this is just chillaxing the movie. Let me tell you, man, I have never in my life, I think, felt so relaxed watching a film in my entire life than I did with this movie. When I saw it in that theater, man, let me tell you, I just felt like putting my feet up and just laying like this while watching it, because you feel so relaxed watching the movie and just seeing these characters vibing, honestly. Like, it is so great. I love it, man. It is just so fantastic. I love seeing these characters, man. These characters just, riding it out in 60s Hollywood. Like, it is great, in my opinion, man. Leonardo DiCaprio as Rick Dalton. I love him in this, man. He is just fantastic in this film. I love him. He just does such a great job in this film. He is just so hilarious. And so just, man, the stuff that he just does in this movie is great. Like, I loved seeing him because, he's just getting worried, that he's becoming a washed up actor, and you feel for that. And, he's just trying to improve himself. Like the scene where he, it's like talking to himself in the mirror. It's like, you need to be better and stuff like that. Like, it's just great stuff. And he is amazing in this. Brad Pitt as Cliff Booth, the smoothest man on the face of the planet. Let me tell you something. This guy's great. I love Brad Pitt in this. Man, he's so smooth. He is so slick and smooth in this. I love him. I love their chemistry with each other in this movie. Man, other than Woody and Buzz, honestly, I think Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth might be my favorite friendship in any movie. Like, these two are just they are there for each other, man. They are just best buds. They are there for each other every step of the way. And I love seeing that seeing that in this. And it's just so great, I love that. Oh man, the production design, like the sets, just the way that they capture 60s Hollywood, man. Let me tell you, just the way that they do that in this movie, it is so incredible. I love how they just embrace 60s Hollywood in this. From the landmarks to just all the, the atmosphere. Just, it's so great, man. I love how they embrace 60s Hollywood in this. And you could tell just Quentin Tarantino just really had a passion for that. And you can really see that in this. And I love his directing in this movie. It is so well directed, in my opinion. The screenplay is fantastic. You're always going to get an amazing screenplay out of Quentin Tarantino. And, nothing less here. The screenplay is absolutely incredible, and then that third act, that third act, like I said, it's really chill in the movie, but then that third act, it's kind of like, oh, now it's action-packed Quentin Tarantino, you know what I mean? And it's great, and it still fits with the movie, I think, honestly, we had to have a little bit of that Quentin Tarantino in there, and I think that third act really solidified that, honestly, that action-packed Quentin Tarantino, I should say, and it's really there in that final act, honestly, like, I just dug this movie a lot, man. It is just such a fantastic, just chilling movie, honestly. Like, you could just sit back, relax, and just see these characters ride it out. And it's amazing. I love this film a lot. And it might be my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie thus far, to be honest with you. I absolutely adore this movie. This is a movie that is just so amazing to watch, honestly. Like I said, it's just chillax in the movie. It's dudes being dudes in the movie. And it's fantastic. I absolutely love the film, and it definitely deserves to be on this list. So coming in at my number 2 is Dr. Sleep. Now, here's another movie that I was excited for, but really didn't know how much I exactly was going to love it. I am a fan of The Shining. I do think The Shining is an absolutely great horror film, in my opinion. I wouldn't necessarily call it one of my absolute favorites, but it definitely is one of the greatest, it's arguably considered the greatest horror film, but, I wouldn't say it's one of my absolute favorites, but it is a great horror film, in my opinion. So when they announced that a sequel was going to happen, I was really intrigued. I was like, oh, okay, hopefully whoever does this doesn't screw this up, because you're making a sequel to The Shining, what I mean? It's The Shining, it's like you're making a sequel to that. And when I heard that Mike Flanagan was going to do it, I was like, oh, okay, I like Mike Flanagan a lot. He is a great director, so hopefully he can give us something great. And, he's not only got to please the fans of the Kubrick movie, but he's also got to please fans of Stephen King's novel of The Shining. He's got to please fans of Stephen King's novel of Dr. Sleep as well. So he had a lot on his plate with this. And that could be a lot of pressure. But he just, I don't know how he did it, but he delivered, in my humble opinion, the best horror film I've seen all of, not only just last year, but of all of last decade, honestly. I love this movie immensely. This movie is absolutely phenomenal. This movie, man, is incredible. This is such a fantastic, not only just a fantastic horror film, in my opinion, but it's just a movie in general, honestly. This movie is terrifying and even inspiring. It's even inspiring, honestly. Because because Dan, or Danny, whatever you want to call him, it just is dealing with a lot of things for obvious reasons. He's dealing with a lot of trauma. He's, dealing with alcoholism too. And what I love about this movie is its theme of redemption and, overcoming those things. And I think it's done excellently, honestly. It's done in such an inspiring and uplifting way, in my opinion. I think it's done really well, honestly. I think it's done fantastically in this film. And Ewan McGregor in this movie, talk about the most overlooked performance of last year. This guy is absolutely incredible in this movie. Just the emotion that this guy brings and just even the intensity in moments. it's so fantastic, especially in a scene involving a bar. How did people just bypass his performance? He is so incredible in this movie. It might be my favorite performance of his thus far, honestly. He is absolutely phenomenal in this film. Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat. Other than probably maybe Immortan Joe, probably the best villain I saw not only of last year, but of last decade, to be honest. She's up there with Immortan Joe as probably my favorite villain of last decade, honestly. She is absolutely fantastic in this film. I love her in this. I love just the time. This movie, you know, gives time to give backstory to these villains and to these characters. That's what I love about this movie the most. It takes its time. It is 2.5 hours and it's 3 hours with the director's cut, so it takes its time to develop this story, the atmosphere, these characters, and it does it very well in that runtime. It does not waste time, this movie. This movie does not waste any time. It just develops its characters perfectly and develops everything that's going on. Honestly, it spreads everything out perfectly. Honestly, and I love that so much about this movie, man. It just spreads everything out perfectly, and we understand each motive of each character, and when they culminate into the finale, it's fantastic. Like, it's what you have been waiting for during the entire movie. It's like, all right, we've seen these characters, we've seen where each of them are at, like, what each of their motivations are. Now let's see it come together. It's come together perfectly. Man, that third act is so great, man. That third act is so fantastic. It is so thrilling and so intense, and just, like, it builds it up so perfectly. I think it's a perfect 3-act movie, in my opinion, honestly. It really does. It just develops everything perfectly, and it satisfies perfectly in the finale, honestly. Like, and the horror element of this movie, too, is great. It is so terrifying. This movie is absolutely horrifying to watch, especially in a moment involving a baseball kid. I can still hear the scream of that child, honestly, in this movie, because it's just so ingrained into my head, and it's just so fantastic. Honestly, the horror element of this movie, it gets under your skin, and not just those elements, but those elements of trauma and just, you know, like, you know, stuff like that. Just the way of those things is done so perfectly in this movie, honestly. Like, it's a film that I just think should get a lot more credit than it deserves, man. This movie is such a phenomenal horror film, in my opinion. I absolutely love Dr. Sleep. So I could go on and on about this movie for hours on end, but I still have one more movie to talk about, so I can't really do that. But this movie is absolutely incredible, in my opinion, and honestly, it was very, very, very close to being number one. But there was just one other movie that beat it, but we'll get to that. But just this movie is absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion. I absolutely love Dr. Sleep. It is very close to, honestly, becoming my favorite horror film in general, honestly. It is just such a phenomenal film, in my opinion, and it most definitely deserves to be on this list. So coming in at my number one is Uncut Gems. Man, this damn movie, man. Wow, just this movie is an experience. This movie is Rush. This is quite possibly, the alternate title of this movie should be Adrenaline Rush, the film. Like, just this movie is so intense and so on the edge of your seat. You are wondering, within every scene, I'm talking the littlest of scenes, even scenes where characters are just talking to each other, you are just wondering what is going to happen, because this movie is just so anxiety filled. It is fantastic. This movie, there was no other film in 2019 that I quite had the experience with like this movie right here, Uncut Gems. This movie is just unlike anything I've ever seen. It is so intense, and it's just so perfect. Man, where do I begin? Where do I begin with this movie? Where do I begin with Uncut Gems? Where do I begin with this film? I could start off with Adam Sandler, who gives the best performance of last year, hands down, and one of the best performances I've ever seen in my whole life. He sinks his teeth into Howard Ratner, man. He sinks his teeth into this character, man. He is fantastic the stuff that this guy gets himself into, you know, like just what this man gets himself into is fantastic, and it's just so enthralling to watch, man. Like, you're obviously like, don't do this, but at the same time, you're kind of like, but I want to watch it too. You know what I mean? Where it's like, what are you doing? I kind of want to see where this is going. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things. I love it, man. I love it. And Adam Sandler just really, really sinks his teeth into this role, and he is phenomenal, in my opinion. I absolutely love his performance in this film. It is by far the best performance I've ever seen from him. He just gives it his all in this film. And what's the great thing about this, too, is so many of the other actors in this film are great, too. But what I mean by that is not necessarily just like, I'm talking like the small, like, just kind of, like the extras. Kind of like, even those people are great. Like, just the side characters. You know what I mean? Like, the random characters he and Howard Ratner, like, kind of runs into. Those are great, too. Like, I love that. Like, I love the atmosphere that this movie has of New York. I love it. It's so great. Like, I love just the atmosphere that this movie brings. Like, I love the characters in this. And, like, Kevin Garnett is fantastic. Probably the best performance where I see an athlete play himself, I guess. Like, Kevin Garnett is great in this. I love him in this movie. Lakeith Stanfield is great. Julia Fox is fantastic. Like, everyone just does such a great job in this movie. Idina Menzel, like, everyone is fantastic in this movie. I think everyone gives an exceptional performance in this film, honestly. I love the performances in this film. Like I said before, the intensity, man, the intensity with the movie. Oh, man, it is so intense. It is just gripping. You are gripping at your seat because it is just that intense, and you are just wondering where this is going. It's like, the more Howard gets himself into a crazy situation, the more intense the movie gets, and it's just so crazy, in my opinion. Like, honestly, like, it's just, I have not felt this much at the edge of my seat during a film since Mad Max Fury Road, if I'm being completely honest with you, because I'm just intrigued of where this is going next, and so worried of where this is going next. Like, just, man, it's so great. I love that about this movie and so much, and the Safdie brothers really do a fantastic job with that. They really know how to grip you by, like, the shirt like this, and just make you just watch everything, and just make you on the edge of your seat, just like bringing you into their madness, bringing you into their world, and they just do such a fantastic job with that in this film. I absolutely love the Safdie brothers directing with this film. I think they do such a phenomenal job with their directing in this film, and just, oh, I know I keep on talking about third acts with these movies I'm talking about, but man, the third act with this movie, man, I'm gonna just say this, I have never been so intense watching a basketball game in my entire life. I'm just gonna leave it at that, and just, I was sweating. That's how intense the movie gets. I was sweating. Literal sweat was coming down my face because of how intense how just much I was into this movie. Like, it is that intense, my friends, and those final minutes. After a certain thing, I think people that have seen the movie know what I'm talking about. When a certain thing happens, I was speechless. I was just speechless. I literally didn't say anything else after that. I just let the movie just do whatever it needed to do in the last few minutes. And just that final shot. That final shot will be ingrained into your head for all of your eternity. Okay? It will be, because, man, just, it is so fantastic. I just love this movie so much. Everything about this film is perfect, in my opinion. Like, every shot, every performance, every location, just every line, like, everything is so perfect about this film. There was no other movie in 2019 that I loved more than Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems is by far the best movie of 2019, in my humble opinion, and most definitely deserved to be on this list, and most definitely deserved to be at the #1 spot. And that's the list. That is my top 10 best movies of 2019. Oh, man. oh man, what fun I had making this video, to be honest. It felt good, making a video again. Honestly, I cannot lie, you know, it felt good, honestly. I felt really energetic. Like, you should have seen me, like, after I was done with each one. I was like, man, whew, I'm feeling good right now. Like, I'm feeling good about this. Like, I'm just so excited. Honestly, I'm so excited to get back into this, honestly. I'm so excited to be making videos again and really just getting into this again, honestly. Like, I was just really lacking a lot of motivation in the latter half of that year, and, you know, just everything that was going on. There's just, you know, kind of just deranged my, derailed is the right word for it? I don't know. But it really just kind of, really just wasn't helping with anything, and, you know, I just really didn't feel like making videos. Each time I would go to, it's just something would get in the way, or I just didn't really feel like it. But I'm so glad I'm back doing it, because, man, did this feel good. This felt great. Honestly, I loved making this video. I loved talking about my top 10 best movies of 2019, and it was just great. I absolutely loved it. I hope you had fun watching this video too, and hopefully, you know, you feel good that I'm back too, you know. I know a lot of people were like, you know, in the comments of, like, some of my videos were like, are you still alive? Are you dead? No, I'm not dead. I'm very much well alive. I'm just, you know, taking a little vacation. Let's put it at that. And, you know, I'm glad that I'm back. And, you know, glad to be making videos again. And I'm glad I was able to share with you my top 10 best movies of 2019. And now I leave the question to you, my friends, my subscribers right there. My friends, I leave the question to you. Whether you're top 10, top 5, top 10, top 15, top 20, top 25, top 50, top 100 movies of 2019. I don't care. Leave it in the comment section below. I want to know your list, okay? Put your list in the comment section below. And, yeah, and that's about it. Yeah, that's about it. I had fun making this, and I'm glad to be back. So, I am FilmFan0599, and we will see you all later. Peace.